got our ads out for lifeguards and assistant manager. The assistant manager and the manager position, sounds like we have them filled. And Randy has 2 applications for lifeguards, and Brooklyn told me there was two people from Macomb that did the certification the 1st of March. I think it was 8th and 9th, I believe it was. So we do have some interest. Skip down to number 4. I did contact some contractors to maybe get some estimates to help install the new shelter house. Number 1, we got all the material through the grant from the Hancock County Park District. I did request a completion date by June of 2025, so it's before the Cookie Fest. I reached out to 2 contractors and neither one of them have got back with me. So it could be us putting it up, which we can handle, but just to let you know what's going on with that. Number 5, in reviewing a question on vacations, I had my policy manual, Kathy had her policy manual, and Mel had her policy manual. And it was not all the same. So I reached out to Clemens and Nelson, asking them when the last update was, and it was 2017. So my book was the most up-to-date one. Of course, the gentleman I talked to wanted to come over at no cost to review with us. I agreed. We set up the meeting. Kathy and I met with Joshua. I'm not going to try to pronounce that last name. Anami. Yeah. He did sit down and said that it would really be in the best interest of the village to get it updated to 2025. There are different rules, laws that have passed since our last update. I have in the back of I have stapled together their cost that they presented to us. They do have a retainer rate and a non-retainer rate. So if we have them on retainer, they want $125 a month, which is $1,500 a year, which would save us $500 between a retainer rate and a non-retainer rate if they do a complete update to our manual. If we are interested in a review, it's quite a bit cheaper, but then you turn around and got to have us physically redo all the review that they highlight and what needs changes. So basically, we would pay that plus the update is how he explained it to me. So if we want to just start out with an update, it's going to be $7,920 to update our policy manual. And that would be if we have them on retainer for $125 a month. Which he told me usually is $250, but giving us a bargain price of $125. That was in the email on the last page. I don't know your guys' thoughts, but I think in one incident we could lose a lot more than $8,000 if our policy manual is not with the laws of what's going on right now.
Most of it is 2011. That's my entire book was 2011. He had a few in his that said 2017.
I think it makes sense to hire someone to manage that for the village.
To be honest, I thought it was going to be more because at PNP they charged $10,000, and that was when was that?
4 years, 5 years ago.
I don't know when that was.
So the only difference is $500 between the retainer and the non-retainer.
And then also,
the retainer a year.
Yeah, we only have to do the retainer a year. But also, if we call him or they drive over here,
the mileage included? I just kind of read that.
I don't think the mileage is included on the retainer, but
Okay.
as far as getting, legal advice from them or whatever, it's
Okay.
on the retainer.
Okay.
And a little history, if I remember right, I can't think of his last name, Jamie, the administrator in 2020, I think he took Bluffton's book and was trying to make it update ours with theirs, and I think that's what happened. That book, one book was like being worked on and the other ones were left to go, and then he walked out, so it was never,
It's kind of a mess.
yeah.
I think one lawsuit, I'd rather see us have it right.
I just think it needs to be, it needs to be done.
And I think right now, changing fiscal officers would be a good time for a fiscal officer to know our policy.
Yeah. That'd be
And that's
up
kind
to
of how
date.
it started with a vacation question.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, no. And then Greg had another version, and Mel had my version.
So like, I guess what we would need to decide is, do we wanna put them on retainer, or do we wanna just pay them non-retainer rate?
Well, the retainer's only for 1 year, right?
Right. You're gonna save yourself $500 if we put them on a retainer for 1 year.
Yeah.
He said we only had to do it for 1 year.
Yeah.
But if we were paying $250 a month as their original pricing is instead of the $125, that would be
That would be
a
more.
more substantial.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of changes through here over the years, so.
So what would be the benefit of having a retainer versus a not retainer, other than a little bit of a cost difference?
If we need him for certain things, we'll get charged
As a non?
as a non-retainer, any little thing that he does. What's that?
Probably phone calls and emails.
Yes.
Simple things they'll bill for it.
So similar to what we're doing with the fire station with the grant management.
Yes.
They charge us every little.
Yeah.
He did say don't email, because then it's chargeable, because it's in black and white.
Right.
He'd rather take a phone call. But there's things I like in black and white.
Rob, what's your opinion?
I think the ability to make phone calls is good, and emails for questions, and not get dinged for it every time, or you won't ask them.
Right.
What is your guys'?
I think it's time personally.
I just think we have a hodgepodge,
Yeah.
and
It could catch us in trouble someday.
yes.
I'll make a motion to move forward with Clemens and Nelson with the retainer rate
I'll second that.
for 2025.
Yep.
And he thought he could have it done in 3 months?
Yes.
Is it yearly, is it calendar year, or is it probably month to month? If we started in.
No, he thought that he could get started on.
No, I mean, like, if we, is this a retainer?
The retainer's
Is that
for
what-
one
Would be a year
one
from when
full
we
year.
say to
Yes.
start.
They start on contract.
Okay, we ready to go?
Yeah, is there any question or discussion? If not, then go ahead and call it roll.
Mr. Brumbaugh?
Yes.
Mr. Fazy?
Yes.
Mrs. Bessie Maker?
Yes.
Mrs. Gill?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus? Yes.
All right, thank you. I will get with them and get that started. Number 6, we did meet with Kleinfelder, Paulette, a Ken Mag, and a Emma Sherrick. The reason we met with them, I tried to reach out to Neil to ask him a question, and Neil is no longer with, he resigned. So I met with Ken and Emma, with Kathy. They seem very knowledgeable. I don't think we have anything to worry about. They are still in the design phase of phase 2 of the interceptor project. Number 9, we talked about this at Park and Recs. I did have a coach reach out to me and ask if they could have a digital online calendar for all the sign-ups for the Ball Diamonds. I talked to Don. He was the absolute no. The next morning, he comes to my office, and he's like, I think this is a good idea, let's do this. So he was all right with it. I wanted to make sure he was all right with it. We're gonna have Haley, be the point. She made the calendar, she knows all about it, and, Haley Aller, Wilkins, not Haley Sherrick, Haley Wilkins. And Haley Sherrick is head of softball league. She and Trevor Otmoody, who is baseball, are going to get the schedules together to give to Haley, and we're going to try to make this an online experience for the coaches. So, just want to give you a little update on that. I did ask Casey from Hancock Regional Planning when she thought we could get this bid out. She was still waiting on things from Peterman Associates, and I had him on this email that I sent Casey, and by the end of the day, I think he sent Casey the things that she needed. I have not heard from Casey, but she did tell me they are putting an extension in for the grant because it's not going to be done in August. She says that should be, we'll be able to get that done. I don't know when the extended deadline is, but it is going to be a deadline extension. I reached out, if we happen to get a certain property, I wanted to know what it would cost us to upgrade the taps on that property in front of the community center. I reached out to Northwest. I sent copies of that around. A little bit of a sticker shock. I think Tyler brought up in the last meeting, maybe that we could ask Sarah to run this by
I was gonna,
Finley,
as soon as I saw the
just
number,
to
yeah.
see why are we still out in left field, or why are they charging?
So 1.5 meter and,
Yeah, and I don't know if that's the size. I know they stuck a 2-inch at the daycare, so I don't know if it's why that daycare would need a 2-inch water line. This would be on me,
Okay.
but
Did they have sprinkler?
We don't have sprinkler at the daycare, no.
That's weird.
and there won't be one at the community center.
Right.
But if we ever add on to it, I don't know how that works.
I think you can still have a breezeway and not have it be a physical.
And is that
Again, this is, oh, sorry.
like we're under the square footage right now at the community center, but if we'd ever add on to that, we would be over the square footage and would need a sprinkler system. But can you just do like a breezeway, like she just said, and then like I don't know how that works.
It just depends on a lot of things. Usually if it's connected, yeah, I don't think you can, but.
So maybe we might have to have a 2-inch.
That one, a 2-inch, from my experience, won't run any sprinklers.
Well,
It won't.
you could have an isolated system anyway with the sprinkler.
They always are, yeah, they'll be separate from the domestic water service, and it's always a way bigger line.
So by doing not a big enough line right now, and this wouldn't affect that later.
No.
It'd have to be, okay. So
I just feel like they're really taking advantage of us. Like it's
No,
really-
This is just the meter pit, it's not doing anything else.
no, this is not. This is right at the main line. We would still be responsible from there back to the
No
building.
pit, like no
Right.
vault.
It's just a
No
tap,
vault.
isn't
It
it?
just says for the cost of labor and services, whatever it is, yeah.
Is that just not the tap?
The tap
License, district sewer capper, yeah.
Joe got hammered too on his buildings.
Yeah, I'll check this out.
Those apartments?
But that seems, I asked the main guy last time we talked about this number, and he's like, are you talking the whole work, all the work? I said, no,
No.
this is just doing it, and he said he's never done anything over $4,000.
I
Can we
don't-
contract out?
No.
Finley
it says
just
right here.
agreed with something.
Yeah. It has to be one of their tappers,
I
which
know.
would be
Yeah.
probably similar to the ones that we have in Finley, but yeah, I will get some information, like,
Joe had that same thing on his apartments.
Is there any sort of like consumer protection law here or something? Like, I feel like there is no competition, and it definitely owns,
We're stuck.
they own it, I get it, it's theirs, but I don't think it's unreasonable to expect or ask them to charge us what is fair for the surrounding communities and not just get hosed, cause that's what happened, that price.
Is that the AG that you can,
Something that doesn't smell right with that, unless there's
There-
something I'm misunderstanding.
Joe had a thing from them for $12,000 apiece for those buildings. $12,000 for building one, $12,000,
Just the
there's a
10.
$25,000 bill for 2 taps.
And it's dirty.
Finley is larger, but Northwest Waters, they cover pretty much, I mean.
I mean, the property that house is sitting on is not worth $25,000 like the land.
You know.
It's ridiculous.
There's gouging bad.
A water tap for a 1 inch is $900 in Finley, or $12.25.
Why don't you get those numbers together?
Yeah, 'cause it's just crazy. I mean, they're just
Just
gouging.
invite them to a meeting and say, explain to us why you're charging us this much more, and make
So
it
they're
make
saying,
sense to
they're
everybody.
saying a 2-inch?
It has water and sewer tap on here, if that,
Right.
but looks to me like they want this about the same amount per tap.
For the C, at B, C.
Is that including their impact capacity fees? Who's your contact with Northwest? Can I talk to that, like, can I ask them?
I asked Dave Cromley, but this Stephanie Skeefer is who makes the,
Okay, her email's on there, I might email and ask her if that includes the,
And these are like, from what I remember you saying, like last summer, when
Yeah.
you were asking questions, it just seems.
for all labor, but like sometimes the
It
cost
doesn't
for
seem- it
sewer,
is
like to
ridiculous
take the
to
sewage
buy.
away.
Oh,
Not like the
yeah.
ERUs and all that stuff, but that's
Okay.
included in
it-
that.
Sure.
When it says here, a credit given for existing 5/8 meter,
That's just how much a meter costs.
yeah.
yeah, there's almost a $2,500 credit for the,
And it's still 27,000 or 19,000.
I mean, generally, that's like a day's worth of work to do, Stu. It's not a week-long, event
Not even
of
a
any
day.
sort. It's maximum 2 days.
The main line's there,
When
right,
they
'cause
did
this
it
cat
at
main
the
line.
pool,
That was just, we didn't take them that long.
Not gonna have any line.
Who,
Like this,
who up near Toledo could we ask the same type of question to?
That they provide to me.
I can ask around our office, but it'd be worth.
If you don't mind, that way we have a local Finley and we have something,
Yeah.
just to kind of compare.
Would
I know a lot of
anybody from
plumbers,
Kleinfelder?
ask people.
Pardon me?
Or would anybody from Kleinfelder, or
you see
they
it says
associated
system
Northwest
development
with
fee.
the
The tap is 7,400 on one and 7,000 on the other. Then they have this system development fee,
No, Northwest is
Um,
not doing that.
10,000 on one, 18,000 on the other.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, 'cause they're not happy with the.
Yeah, 9,000 something on the water and
How's
then
our contract
9,000
here?
something on the sewer, for a total of 18,000.
Rob,
What's that?
this is just an out there question, but are we stuck with Northwest Water for, our contract is that, like, we have to, that was previous council that made those decisions.
Well, you
but-
have to pull and see what the term is, but
I think that we have to pay what they put in the village or something, it's
Oh,
unreal. I
unreal,
mean,
okay.
I think we're
Unrealistic
stuck.
to get out.
I mean, you'd have to buy them out. I think it's a ridiculous. I don't know why it never got turned over completely to them like that. Somebody benefited from it.
I believe the lines and the water and everything is their physical property, that's the way I understand it. It's theirs, they own it.
How bad is our original system if we were to, and then go back to our original system for,
Doesn't exist, does it?
no, it's gone.
Yeah, they routed it from North Florida.
They took everything out of that.
Did we get a credit for that? Is there kind of some kind of scrap fee that they got for it, you know what I mean?
From what I understand, when they took over that contract, they, by all that stuff being their property, that includes that building and all the stuff inside.
Yes, everything we own. All we have is the,
I don't know if they like
Reservoir.
paid for that, you know, or
They
not.
took over our loan,
They took over the loan for it.
yeah, because they didn't finish something and I got an email from somebody saying, hey, we didn't do this, we need to redo it or whatever. We passed something not, the last 2 years. Cause they forgot to take our name off the loan and they'd been paying it, but they didn't show it. They didn't have a legal piece that said they had been paying it.
Yeah, we're in a bad spot.
I think the price gouging would be show that it's a major difference.
We have them come in and explain it, see if they have the guts to do it.
So what's a residential cap? Does anybody know?
That'd just be 3/4 inch,
Right.
but I did not get that
Okay.
price from them.
But if
Because
it's,
if their meters are 1304.
if it's close, it would be really close to what Mike just said for Joe's building. That would be a residential tap.
And they're only, and I think they were only, I can't remember, I think they determined, don't hold me to this, but I thought they said they were maybe 1 inch. They were thinking 1 inch was gonna be sufficient.
So he was paying about $12,000 per building, he paid $25,000 for the tap.
Just for water?
Yes.
And nothing to
And
do with sewer?
No, that'd be probably water and sewer.
Water and sewer, I think. Yeah, it ended up being $25,000, $26,000 for both buildings.
I'll get some information sent out, so we're just to have a comparison, but even at his high end of 5,000, 4,000 or 5,000 for, in Finley, I mean, the cost and stuff, and we'll see, I'll see, I'll get it out there,
Yeah, give it this and see.
yeah, I'll throw them
Number 12, I forgot to put that on there, type that on there, so I just wasn't gonna waste paper, so I wrote it on your guys's. The community reinvestment area, Joe Watson is requesting, to go over that. I gave him, I talked to Matt Cadonier, he's the one that kinda made that up. He gave me like the process of that. Basically, I'll kind of give that a rundown to you. I didn't write it down, but I'm just going to give it to you. Joe requests a meeting with the school, a village council member or administrator, the mayor, and a representative from Hancock Regional Planning. So we all come together. Joe basically shows how much he invested in the property down there on South Street. And according to how much he invested, determines the percentage in the years, not the percentage, but the years that's already in the ordinance or the legislation that was passed. So if he did $1,001,001, he can request a CRA for a length of 8 years. The school board votes on the percentage. It can be 0 up to 100%. They have to vote on that. That's not us. So they pass whatever they want to pass on that percent. That comes back to us, and the school board, he has to show us that the school board approved the whatever percentage they did. That comes here, and you as a council decide if yes or no that you want to grant him the CRA for the percentage of what the school passed. And then, if you approve it, then that would go to we would submit that to the auditor, and then that would, his exemption would be for the years, he's indicated that he must have more than $1 million in that investment, so he's requesting 8-year exemption. Now, I kind of wanted to make sure how that worked, so I kind of asked Matt, does whatever he pays on that property, does like PMP, the fire district, the village millage. The way I understood it was, whatever he's paying right now on that property does not change. Now, from whatever the value is from it is now to what he's done with the improvements, on that section, that's going to be reduced by, or not reduced, be exempted by whatever percentage the school comes up with. So say they're going to give them a 70% reduction or exemption, and the valuation, we'll just, for simple math, say it was an extra $1,000. Like he was paying $1,000, and it's going to be an extra $1,000 on his taxes. So really, he'd only have to pay an extra $300 for 8 years, because they're giving him a 70% exemption. So that's how that is going to work. But the percentage of exemption is not up to the village. From my understanding with Matt, it is the school board. but then you guys can say yes or no after that also. But we can't change the percentage. But he has requested a meeting. They're all getting together. We all emailed when we possibly could meet. They're gonna throw hopefully a couple of dates out. When they do, I'll pass that on for you guys, for whoever wants to join that process. And
So that means the school won't get that money for real estate for those many years?
they'll get what they're getting right now,
Yeah,
but they won't get on the increase in valuation.
okay.
Is that, am I explaining that right?
They'll get what he has currently, what he
Yeah.
had currently on that,
Yeah.
the existing property before they
So if it was worth
changed.
$50, it's worth $500,000 now, yeah.
They're not hurt, they just have to wait.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
right.
Because if that guy, if a developer abandons the project, then the school's still right where they were.
So
you
that
encourage
affect,
the development, and a couple years down the road, then they start getting their money.
will that affect our real estate amount too?
We're gonna get what we're getting right now, is my understanding.
Yeah.
But we
And
won't get the increase?
We won't get the increase
Which we don't
for
rely
the,
on it anyway.
he's
but
applying,
still.
he says he has over $1 million that he's increased the value of that property, so he's
Mhm.
asking for 8 years. So for 8 years, whatever percentage the school passes,
Yeah,
we won't get that. And then after the 8th year, then it goes,
Yeah, and Matt's, I talk to Matt all the time about it with Finley stuff, and he's an expert on the CRAs and TIFs that are out there, so.
yeah, and I typed up the process, I sent it to Matt, he okayed it, and so that's what I sent to Joe, and that's what he sent out the other day.
Tyler had it at planning and zoning, we just kind of looked it over.
Yeah. So, but I just wanted you guys to be aware that's in the works, and we'll see where that goes. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for Greg? So what's it?
I don't have much to add from what's already been going on. I answered routine emails here and again. We had the great about the Bundy situation too, so we tried to nip that in the bud tonight. I think we may have already a nice letter and submit a copy to the mayor and Greg, and it will be submitted to council as a whole. But that's it right now.
Gas cases tomorrow?
Oh, yeah, I got service on a guy we didn't have service on, and one guy's trying to pay, and Haley and I are meeting tomorrow beforehand on a few cases that she wants to try some new things on, and we'll see if it's worth it.
And you said liens, it cost too much for liens?
Well, it was a $300 and some
$300.
outstanding bill, and by the time you get one with
Okay.
2 sets of filing fees, we're not getting much.
Okay.
Not knowing what's left in the, to
I
drop
think
themselves.
From what I heard later today, it sounds like there's a lot of people looking for money. So-
Yeah, we can run his name, see who else is out there too.
Okay.
For $300.
All righty, thank you. Any questions for Rob? Moving on. Chief?
It's been a little busy. 165 calls for service, 4 infant and 2 arrests.
Did you say 165?
Mhm.
Oh, gosh. I did want you guys to look at this nice award. This is what Tammy received over at Wasion at the VFW over there for winning the district law enforcement officer. So, congratulations, you can look at it. The glass does come out. I picked it up back in my office and went, oh, she broke it, all right. I didn't break it, thank goodness. Hey, when we get time, we'll have to redo one for us, Mike, no. So, thank you. Any other questions or things for Tammy?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I just have a couple things. Sheriff Cortez showed up this evening. I appreciate everyone joining in because I wanted it to be an open forum with him. We have no birthdays this month, AEP responded with a counter, which I thought was still low because of some knowledge, and actually it was what they were offering for some of the farm ground. Ed May, who is the mayor at Van Buren, he worked for Marathon and he did their pipeline land acquisition. He's actually coming over probably Wednesday and gonna sit down. I've sent him all the documents and he's gonna see if he can help us out some on that. It's my understanding that this third-party company who's been doing the negotiations is supposed to end May, and he told me you'll always do better negotiating with the actual company. So, again, we just hold tight for a while, I think. The village trash bash, Operation Trash Bash, is getting out there. The day that it was announced, we had a lady call in and want service in her house for pickup. So hopefully we will get a lot of garbage out of town. I did receive an email from Brian Sizemore, who is the plant manager at the cookie factory. They currently now are employing a little over 1,600. At the end of Q1, things are looking good. They will come out of Chapter 11 at the end of that on March 28th. He does not foresee any issues, and hopefully it will be a seamless transition. So that was good news. Also, this last week, I went to the health department. Here is their yearly report from last year, so you're more than welcome to look through it. Gives a lot of data, things that they've been working on. Miss Anna picked up the purchase agreement on February 20th. I emailed her back on March 6th asking her, does she have it? She's waiting for her siblings to sign it and she'll drop it off. I think we should have put in there within so many weeks turnaround, in 6 months you get your bonus, so, but she's still on board, so we're good. We currently have 11 applicants for a fiscal officer. I would like to start interviewing the very last week in March. I have asked Beth to sit in on as her fiscal background and as the president of council. So hopefully we can get that narrowed down and then bring a couple candidates to council. Several of them do have UAN experience, which is real nice. The downtown grant, Jerry Seifert had 4 contractors come through for the pre-construction walkthrough. They will be opening bids here on the 18th at 10 a.m. So hopefully we can get that grant done and wrapped up. Just wanted to let you know that Kathy Abbott has reached out. She is organizing Wreaths Across America for our local cemetery. I believe she said we have 580 some buried there across 7 wards, so that would be awesome. She may try to get something set up for the Cookie Festival and things like that to try to collect. I tried a grant. Most grants want sustainability, and this one there is no sustainability. So I know she's going to reach out to the Legion and the VFW and a couple other organizations. Jim Pierce has emailed me. He thinks he has found someone who is interested in watering our plants this year. What did I say her name was? Claire Bryan, yes. So that could be good news. The 4-H groups are going to plant flowers again. The pots have been taken up to benches, so when spring gets here, all we have to do is hook the trailer up and go up and pick